It was just after noon when the call came in. Jamie Dornan was standing outside his trailer on set, still wearing the tailored suit from his latest scene, when his phone began to buzz. At first, he ignored it. Another interview request, he thought. But then he saw the name on the screen. It was his mother, and somehow, even before he answered, his heart began to race. "Jamie?" Her voice was trembling. "It's Jessica." In that instant, the world around him seemed to slow down. The sound of chatter from the crew faded. The sun dimmed behind the clouds. He could barely breathe. "What happened?" he asked, already knowing that whatever came next would change everything. "There's been an accident," she whispered. "She's in the hospital." He didn't wait to hear more. Within minutes, Jamie was in his car, the engine roaring, his mind spinning faster than the road beneath him. He didn't care about the traffic, the schedule, or the film. All that mattered was getting there, to her. To Jessica. The drive felt endless. Every red light was a lifetime. He could still see her face in his memory, her laugh, the way she used to tease him about his hair when they were kids. Jessica wasn't just his sister. After their father's passing, she had been his anchor, the one who reminded him of home when Hollywood made him forget who he was. When he finally reached the hospital, he ran through the sliding doors like a man chasing time itself. The sterile smell of antiseptic hit him instantly. Nurses moved quickly through the corridors. The fluorescent lights above flickered, casting long shadows on the floor. "Jessica Dornan," he said, breathless at the front desk. "Where is she?" The nurse hesitated, glancing toward a doctor nearby. The doctor's expression said everything before his words did. "She's stable," he said carefully, "but it was serious. We've done several tests. She's in room 312. Jamie nodded, though the words barely reached him. He moved down the hall, each step heavier than the last. When he pushed open the door, the sight nearly broke him. Jessica lay still, pale under the white hospital sheets, tubes running from her arms, a quiet rhythm from the monitor beside her. For a long time, he couldn't speak. He just stood there, taking in every detail, afraid that if he blinked, she might disappear. He sat beside her, taking her hand gently in his. "Hey, Jess," he whispered, forcing a shaky smile. "It's me. I'm here." Her fingers twitched slightly, a small sign of life, and that was enough to make his eyes fill with tears. Hours passed like minutes. The doctors came and went, checking charts, murmuring to each other in voices too low to understand. Every time Jamie asked for updates, they gave him the same answer. "She's stable for now. We're still running tests." He hated those words, "for now." They sounded like a countdown. At one point, a nurse walked in with a clipboard and looked at him with sympathy. "You might want to get some rest," she said softly. Jamie shook his head. "I'll stay." The clock ticked. Machines beeped. Outside the window, the city lights flickered like tiny stars, cold, distant, indifferent. He thought about all the times he had missed her calls because of filming, the birthdays spent oceans apart, the family dinners he promised to attend but never did. Guilt settled in his chest like a stone. "She's always been there for me," he thought. "And now, I wasn't there when she needed me most." He reached out again, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You're going to be okay, Jess," he whispered, as if saying it enough times could make it true. When the doctor returned later that evening, his face was unreadable. He glanced at the monitors, then at Jamie. "We need to talk," he said quietly, motioning toward the hallway. Jamie followed, his stomach twisting into knots. The doctor sighed, holding a stack of test results. "The accident caused some internal injuries," he began, "but that's not the only thing we found." Jamie frowned. "What do you mean?" The doctor hesitated, his eyes filled with the kind of compassion that only comes before bad news. "There are some anomalies in her blood work. We're running further tests to confirm, but..." He paused. "It could be something serious, unrelated to the accident." Jamie's breath caught in his throat. "Serious? How serious?" The doctor didn't answer immediately. He just looked at him with quiet pity and said, "We'll know more soon." "I'm sorry." As the doctor walked away, Jamie stood frozen in the hallway, the noise of the hospital fading again into silence. His reflection in the window stared back at him, a man who had faced fame, loss, and heartbreak before, but never like this. He turned back toward Jessica's room, the fluorescent lights flickering above him. His hand tightened around the doorknob. Whatever was coming next, he knew one thing for sure. The night was far from over. The night passed in fragments of fear and silence. Jamie Dornan sat in the hospital corridor, elbows on his knees, his hands pressed together like a man praying for time to stop. He hadn't moved in hours. Every sound, the shuffle of nurses, the faint beeping of machines, the murmur of footsteps, felt distant, unreal. By morning, the sun tried to push its way through the gray windows, but the light inside him was gone. The doctor returned, holding the same stack of test results. His voice was calm, too calm, the way people speak when they're about to break your heart. "Mr. Dornan," he began gently, "we have the results from Jessica's scans." Jamie stood, his throat dry. "Just tell me," he said quietly. The doctor hesitated, searching for words that wouldn't wound, but there were none. "Your sister's injuries from the accident are treatable. But during the scans, we discovered something else, an advanced degenerative disease affecting her bone marrow. It's rare, and unfortunately, incurable." Jamie blinked, as if he hadn't heard correctly. "Incurable?" The doctor nodded slowly. "We can manage the symptoms, but it will progress. We don't know how long she has, but it could be months, maybe less." Jamie felt the world tilt. His knees nearly gave out. He gripped the edge of the chair, his heart pounding in his chest like it was trying to escape. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. He wanted to scream, to argue, to demand they check again, but the doctor's eyes said everything. When he finally walked back into the room, Jessica was awake. Her voice was soft, barely a whisper. "Hey, little brother." Jamie froze. He had spent all night imagining this moment, but now words refused to come. He managed a broken smile. "You scared the hell out of me," he said, trying to sound light. She laughed weakly. "Always did, didn't I?" He sat beside her, taking her hand in his. There was warmth there, fragile, fading, but still real. She looked at him, her eyes filled with a calm he didn't understand. "You know, when I woke up, I thought of Dad," she said quietly. "He used to tell me, 'Life's short, Jess. Don't waste it worrying.' I guess he was right." Jamie shook his head. "Don't talk like that, you're going to be okay." She smiled sadly. "You always were a terrible liar." He tried to laugh, but his throat tightened. The tears came without warning. He turned away, covering his face. "I can't lose you," he whispered. Jessica reached up, touching his arm. "You won't. I'll always be here, in you, in the girls, in the stories we told each other when we were kids." For a while, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the rhythmic beeping of the monitor beside her bed. Jamie wanted to hold on to that sound forever, proof she was still here. Later that afternoon, their mother arrived. There were tears, embraces, and quiet prayers. Doctors came and went, but Jamie barely noticed them. He stayed by Jessica's side, telling her stories from their childhood. About sneaking biscuits from the kitchen, about their first trip to the beach, about the night they both promised to chase their dreams no matter what. As the hours passed, something shifted in him. He realized that grief wasn't just about losing someone, it was about realizing how much of yourself lives in them. When evening came, Jessica asked for one last thing. "Promise me," she said softly, "you'll keep living, really living. Do the films you love. Be with your family. Don't let this break you." Jamie's voice cracked. "I promise." She smiled, a small, tired smile. "Good, then I can rest easy." That night, as the machines hummed and the world outside went quiet, Jamie sat beside her, holding her hand long after she drifted back to sleep. He looked out the window. The city lights flickered like fragile stars, and he thought about how cruel and beautiful life could be at the same time. In the weeks that followed, Jamie cancelled all his projects. He stayed close to his family, visiting Jessica every day, walking with her through the hospital garden whenever she felt strong enough. They talked about everything: life, childhood, forgiveness, the strange peace that comes when you accept what can't be changed. When he finally spoke about it publicly months later, his voice trembled, but there was strength beneath it. "We all think we have time," he said. "Time to call, to visit, to say the words we hold back. But sometimes life reminds you how fragile everything really is. Don't wait. Tell the people you love that you love them, now." He looked down, a faint smile touching his lips. "Jessica taught me that, even in pain, she gave me the greatest lesson of all. That love doesn't end when someone's gone. It stays. It changes shape, but it stays." And in that quiet truth, Jamie found the only kind of healing there is: not forgetting, but remembering with love.